Hey everyone, welcome to Quick Serve. There's a quick serving in the final of the. I'll show you. You like that, Mike? You laughed. I
Yeah.
heard it. I heard. Yeah, that was good. Thanks. Um, quick serve in the final of Aussie Open's men final. I don't know that it was unexpected, and I think we're going to get into we're entering the territory where we kind of have the same superlatives over and over to define the greatness that currently exists with Jannik Sinner. I'm confused because similar to the problems that Novak in his prime presented, Roger in his prime presented, Rafa on a fast surface, it was a little different because you had some time maybe to hit the ball. On clay, obviously, is the toughest matchup in the history of sports, trying to beat him on clay. But you can't really go through Sinner right now, right? Like, look at who he's beaten in the last two Slam finals. It was Taylor Fritz, who makes a living going through people, and Alex Zverev, who makes a living serving through people and then hitting backhands through the court to gain an edge. He doesn't give an inch. It's frustrating because the rest of his game is more complete. He probably moves better out of the corners. Uh, Forehand, he can hit winners off of both sides and not just one. And he does what you do, but like better. And so where do you go? He used to not serve great, and now he serves a high percentage, defended his serve at an 84% clip, his second serve at a 63% clip. Didn't serve great today, but served 60% still. Like if that's the floor for serving, bringing that foot up in the middle of, I think it was 2023 around Wimbledon, creating, he gets way more spin wide now. He's able to extend the court, and when he extends the court, you know that he can throw those punches off the first ball. It's clinical, where Alcaraz is exciting and you feel like you're watching a tightrope, performance each time. Sometimes it's like a heart rate monitor, but that's exciting. I feel like Sinner, it's like plugging in something into an algorithm. It's like beep boop boop boop, boop, and then everything comes out complete. One thing I'll say is that what's scary is he's becoming, he has more tools in the arsenal as time goes on. The dropper that he was hitting over and over and over again when Zverev would drift way back like he does, because he can against most of Earth. He can drift back and he can make up the differences. Is he all of a sudden going to change that? He can't change his swing path on his forehand. Is he just going to change that and rush Sinner when Sinner can rush him back? No. So save that. Sinner's throwing in that drop shot on big points over and over, so Zverev can't do the thing that he likes to do. Sinner didn't have that shot when he lost to Zverev I think it was around 16 in 2023 at the US Open. That's not a shot he was deploying. And now he did it 10, 12 times today, and it's twofold. One, the shot was working and he was winning the majority of the points on it. Two, Zverev had to, that was a piece of input that he had to put into his brain to account for in the rest of the rallies. So it's just, you can't go through him, you can't go around him. He's entering that dangerous territory of maybe prime. No, I'm not saying he's as good as, so like, don't go crazy. I'm just saying you have to account for someone being potentially the best defensive player in the world on a given day and potentially the best offensive player in the world on a given day. Doesn't mean he's Alcaraz is still fantastic and obviously has the upside. And when he gets going, he can create more speed, more variety than anyone on earth. I'm just saying when you plug it in, and it's like playing, he's like a human version of the game Pong. Like, you're trying to get past him and he's just like doing the ski thing to you. I think it's still a little bit different when you get onto clay and he's not just crouched in and out of those corners. I mean, he's hitting the shot and he's already a foot back before you know what's going on. He's able to reset. His instincts at net are getting better. If I was a coach, I don't know, I might like be like, I'm really into this, and then when it got to Sinner, I might just give you a refund. Like, I don't know exactly where you go, what to do. Maybe you can attack a second serve if you have the speed to do it, but you also need time to rip a second serve. So, which means you have to drift to take a huge cut. Can you take irresponsible cuts from 3 feet inside the court? Most of us normies can't do that, and he's fine with you trying. Maybe with variance in movement, like Alcaraz is a ballerina on when he gets to when he gets on grass. His movement fluency on other surfaces is better than Sinner's. I like that Alcaraz is working on his serve because he's going to need to get those free points in this matchup. But right now I think Sinner's biggest opponent is Wada. Are we going to build up this 3 slam resume where I haven't lost a set in the last 2 slams in the semis or the finals? And lost maybe like a sprinkling of maybe 2 sets each on the way, if I'm not wrong. He lost one to Runa here, lost one to School Kate and then I think at the Open he lost the first one out of the shooter to McDonald, and I think he lost one to Medvedev in the quarters. But I mean, he's barely. I mean, when he loses sets, you're not that stressed about him coming back. It's not as if he loses a set and you're like upset special. That's not happening. I can't even fake enthusiasm for that. Um, it's just impressive. Like I don't know how to solve for it. I know you all come here for a lot of X's and O's. He's got a lot of those covered up.
I mean, looking at the stat line, explain this to me as a layman, right? It seems that he forces unforced errors in the stat line at a greater clip than anyone. What is it that he's doing that causes these great tennis players to have so many unforced errors?
Yeah, you look at the splits. I know Zverev was 15 or 20 under the delta between winners and unforced errors, somewhere in that. And I think Sinner was 7 or 8 to the good side, something like that. It's weight of shot, right? Like if I'm trading cross court backends with him and I have my little shovey Magoo and he's just ripping, all of a sudden he's gaining on me. I have to take risks to get out of that exchange, right? I have to either go line, which is a riskier shot. I have to try something stupid to bring him inside the court, which is a riskier shot. I can't just sit in my comfort zone of making balls. Listen, pro tennis players don't just randomly miss very often, right? If there's like I can play my little normie doubles, dingles friends in Charlotte and not miss for 2 hours, but all of a sudden I play someone who can rip the cover off the ball, and I'm forced to make riskier decisions. I gotta one ball flight. I have to keep the ball down. I can't have it up. I need depth, so I need to force it a little bit further. So all those little things where you're adding 5%, 5 and 10% of risk at scale ends up being an ugly stat line. Right? When you're bullying to the corner, you're not just playing the shot ahead of you, you're playing to avoid him knocking your block off. So you have to account for that. And we said, if you listen to Quick Serve 2 days ago, his margin is still safe. Like, I don't know that Andre is the best ball striker I've ever seen in my life. And when he redlined it, he still hit a flat ball, especially on the forehand, maybe not as much of the backhand. He creates so much margin on his backhand. But Sinner's ball has that that circle C kind of sunset thing, even when he's hitting it massive, which means he's hitting it safe. It's not like a Rafa thing where Rafa hits the massive topspin and it bounces and it kind of floats over and it's really heavy. This is kind of like hard through the court consistently, but it seems like he has margin. I would have been wrong because I would have told you 5 years ago he has that kind of layback rubber band where he slings it back real quick and then slings it through. I would have told you that's hard to. It's going to be hard to time up under pressure over and over and over again, and I would have been completely wrong, like a dummy, because he can. His preparation is so quick, even with that lag on his forehand, which creates all that margin, right? Where you lay off that wrist and then sling it through, that creates spin. He's able to time that up over and over. The guys in the past, you would see those extreme, layoffs or whatever. And it's like, okay, if I hit with enough pace, I can get at that. And, maybe they're hitting some foul balls. He's not hitting he's the kind of guy where if you get him out right now, it's because he hits a line drive at someone, but you're going, shit, that was a pretty good pitch. And he's still, he was trying to hit it opposite field line drive and he just hit it 2 feet away from someone instead of 3. Like his misses aren't it's like, oh, okay. So you're giving credit to when he's missing, you're like breathing a sigh of relief, but also knowing that he squared it up and like just missed it. It's like when you have a perfect pitch and Bonds takes you and he's got you 3 feet from, the fence on the warning track. You're like, I got away with one. And that's what he's putting people in. And, I feel for Zverev because he's such a good player and he goes deep. His consistency, we don't talk enough about. Like, he's there every single tournament. And I just, Sinner had a different gear here. He had more options. He could bully off of both sides and he could take away court. He can drift back if he needs to. He can take away the front foot if he needs to. And he's now serving well. And I mean, all of a sudden he's I don't know that he has that drop shot if he's not watching Carlos and how effective it is for him. And he learned how to do it. He hits it a little bit differently because he kind of runs, he sets that racket back on a forehand. So because he sets it back, you're like, okay, warning shot. You're kind of check stepping backwards, getting ready to D up, and then switches at the last second and plays it cross. Like, you're having to defend forehand away, forehand back in, deep forehand cross court, and a lot of them he hits go short cross court to where Zverev's all of a sudden got a continental grip and he's just bunting the ball up. And if he pulls that off, then he's won the right to have Sinner set up for a passing shot. It's like there are options. They're just like the good players. It's not like you have good options. It's you have less shitty ones. So we're doing Andre's coming into town, Agassi, Emma Navarro, Jess Pagula. With LA so front standing and gosh, rightfully so in our brains right now. Before those happen, we're still dealing with the hurricane that ravaged Western North Carolina not too long ago. So we're doing a relief thing for some tennis, going to play some. Please come and support us. Mike, do you have those details? It's February 2nd, it's next Sunday.
Yeah, February 2nd at 2:30. Tickets are for sale now. It's called Stars Serving Up Love. And it'll be at I believe it all goes to benefit Habitat for Humanity and other causes. It'll be at the Harris Cherokee Center, Asheville, North Carolina. Again, you can Google Stars Serving Up Love, and there's plenty of places to find it. It's presented by Explore Asheville. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do something in the recap show where we can, if there are any local listeners in the North Carolina area who are willing to get on a flight, I'll personally purchase a bunch of the tickets and give them out to some listeners. We do need a lot of support. We need to show some love, as it's right there in the title. Listen, whether it's a fire in LA or a hurricane in Western North Carolina, we need to do everything we can to step up and at least help. And us playing some tennis is, I think, probably the best way for us to do it. So we're going to do that. We have a recap show. Kim Clijsters is going to be on with us during the recap show. We do have an exciting, and can we talk? We're going to save the mid-February show for the recap. What we got there, or you want to let it rip, Tater Chip?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's go for it. Give it a tease.
So you talked me through it because you were having the conversations. You were really digging on that. But basically, the ITIA, who is responsible for levying suspensions, judgment, drug protocols, they're going to come on the show. And they say that we can ask whatever questions we want. So I hope to get a lot smarter coming in. What else do we need to know about that one, Mike?
That'll be February 6th, 18th show. I'm sorry. Tuesday, February 18th. And Karen Morehouse, the CEO, is going to be joining us. We're going to talk through all things ITIA.
Awesome. I can't wait for that show because all we can do is just we can hold our, we can have strong opinions, but they need to be loosely held in the face of facts. And let's see what facts we get. I props to her for coming on, and we certainly appreciate the audience to get some clarity on what's going on and the processes. And there are a lot of questions for serve listeners and everyone in tennis about why this person, why that person, what are the subtleties, what are the things that you consider when levying judgment, and what are the processes with drug testing. So that's a great get. Way to go, producer Mike, and thank you to the ITIA for actually coming on. I don't, that's not something that you see very often. So cool for us. Please check out the ticket situation next week in Nashville, and we'll see you on Tuesday morning release, the regular Tuesday morning release, not these random early post Australia situations.
Correct.
And we'll do a full recap show. We'll get the opinion of the legend, friend of the show, Kim Clijsters. Thanks for watching, Serve.